Thank you all very much. Thanks. Now there's a massive security clampdown going on in Kenya. Police there say they've pulled in nearly 4,000 people in the past week. The arrests come after the killing last week of a controversial Muslim preacher in the coastal town of Mombasa. His supporters have accused the Kenyan security forces of being behind the shooting, in particular an outfit known as the ATPU, or Anti-Terror Police Unit, which is funded by Britain. Gabriel Gatehouse has been investigating.
In December last year, Newsnight travelled to Mombasa to meet a radical Islamist by the name of Abu Bakr Sharif Ahmed. He features on a UN sanctions list, accused of facilitating and recruiting terrorists. Accusations, he said, were a joke.
We thought you could be our guide.
I'm a terrorist. You want a terrorist for a guide?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Depends on the occasion.
This guy, his nephew, was one of the people executed by the ATPU police officers, the one sitting there. Assalamu alaikum. Salam.
Mr. Ahmed is more commonly known by his nickname, Makaburi.
ATPU officers.
It means graveyard in Swahili. He told us the Kenyan police were planning to assassinate him.
Do you fear for your own safety?
I do not fear for my safety. I know they are going to kill me, but I am a Muslim, a true Muslim. I believe that my life and death is in the hands of Allah. I will only die the day Allah has ordained for me to die, not a moment before or a moment after.
That moment finally came last week. Makaburi was leaving this courthouse on the outskirts of Mombasa with around 8 companions. Eyewitnesses told us they saw a car approaching from out of town. He did a U-turn outside a high-security prison attached to the court.
That's
when I heard gunfire. There were many shots. We pushed each other as we tried to get down so that we wouldn't get hit. We dived into a ditch and lay down, and then I heard 2 final gunshots. And then everything went silent.
It was several hours before the authorities removed Makaburi's body from the roadside and took it to the nearest police station. During that time, the survivors of the shooting said they were forced to remain lying in the ditch.
We told them that the people who shot at us had headed out of town in a black car and they should follow them. They just told us to lie down and not move.
Several witnesses remarked that there were no armed security officers at the scene, despite its proximity to the high-security jail. Makaburi was the third high-profile terror suspect to be shot and killed in the past 2 years. Now, in private, Kenyan security officials have made no secret of their involvement in some of these killings. Last year, I spoke to one Mombasa-based security officer who said Makaburi's days were numbered. When I spoke to him earlier this week, he said his unit hadn't been directly involved, but that the hit had been carried out by security officers from outside Mombasa. Makaburi and the other 2 murdered clerics were all associated with this mosque, the Masjid Musa in Mombasa's run-down Majengo neighbourhood. In February, police raided the mosque, saying it was a recruiting centre for jihadists. They arrested more than 100 worshippers. At least 4 people lost their lives, including 1 policeman. Security officials and human rights groups agree on one thing. The police are sending a deliberate signal to those they see as terrorists.
I've spoken to even people within the security agencies who own up and even come out to say, you ain't seen nothing yet. We are going to do more of it. We kill, we shoot them to kill, not to detain them, and that's what we're going to be doing. This was said to me within the ATPU premises.
ATPU stands for Anti-Terror Police Unit. It receives funding and training from Britain and the United States. In a report released last November, 2 human rights groups documented what they said were dozens of cases of disappearances and extrajudicial killings carried out by the ATPU in recent years. Makaburi himself had made similar accusations.
The British government is helping the ATPU in Kenya kill Muslims by training them, providing them with logistical support and giving them money. And we are supposed to be the terrorists.
It's not clear whether the ATPU was involved in the shooting of Makaburi, but one ATPU officer late last year told me that the police had lost faith in the courts and preferred instead to eliminate, in his words, terror suspects. But many fear this tactic, far from reducing radicalisation, will have the opposite effect.
If Britain or any other Western country fund this unit, and these units violate the rights of Kenyans, okay, so the anger also goes to the British taxpayers. Why their money is being used for these extrajudicial killings? So the problem goes back to where it comes from.
We are coming for you. Your days are numbered.
There's no doubt that Kenya has a problem with terrorism and with radicalisation. Well, Friday prayers is just coming to an end here at the Musa Mosque, the first Friday prayers since the assassination of Makaburi, and the sermon hasn't been a peaceable one. The preacher has said if they inflict violence on you, you've got to be violent back. Don't throw stones, he said. Cut their heads off. Inevitably, perhaps, stones were thrown. The police were expecting trouble and they were there in force.
When our sheikhs are being killed, they are there, they are just looking, and yet they are not doing anything. We as Muslim society, we know Islam means peace, and we want peace.
Given the level of anger on the streets, the violence could have been a lot worse. In response to a recent series of explosions, shootings and terror alerts, the security forces have deployed extra officers across the country. Thousands of people, many of them ethnic Somalis, have been detained, some held in Nairobi's main stadium, while they're screened and have their identities checked. The authorities are sending out a clear message: we're getting tough, but they deny shooting Makaburi or any other extrajudicial killing.
As the man in charge of the security of this country, I am the authority to tell the true government position. And what I've given you is a government position. Anything else is either an allegation, outright lies, or malice.
But nobody believes it.
It's not our business to make you believe or not.
Even the security forces don't believe it.
I'm speaking on behalf of the security forces. And that is the actual position, and that's the truth. So you choose to take the truth, or you take the rumors. The choice is yours.
The Foreign Office told us in a statement that it regularly monitors the ATPU and challenges them on allegations of human rights abuses. If there is credible evidence that British support is being misused, they said, then immediate action would be taken.
That was Gabriel Gatehouse.